Moving on to the next topic, sorry about that, which is conditions and warranties. Okay, so from the title itself, now we are going to discuss first conditions and then the second one is warranties. So conditions or condition kung singular. No, so what do we mean by condition? So by definition, we say condition in the context of a perfected contract of sale. The term condition pertains in reality to the compliance by one party of an undertaking, the fulfillment of which would beckon in turn the demandability of the reciprocal prestation of the other party. So we will take this term in its layman's definition, no? Kung unsay nasabtan na to sa isa sa word nga condition, mao gyud na siya ang sakto nga pagsabot sa term nga condition when it comes to a contract of sale. So murag na ay ma-fulfill, kinahanglan i-fulfill una nga isa ka butang before nimo ma-demand ang performance of a an obligation by a certain party. So the reciprocal obligations would normally be in the case of vendee or the buyer. Ang obligation ni buyer is for the payment of the agreed purchase price. And in the case of the vendor, ang main obligation of the vendor is to deliver the property, right? And also, aside from that, fulfillment of certain express warranties, if any, na nakabutang sa contract of sale. Kung na yung mga specifically gi-warrant si vendor, appeal sa siya sa obligation ni vendor. So the condition, as here understood, is one which is imposed upon the obligation of a party in a contract of sale. So here are the qualifications before a certain thing can be considered a condition. And what is the effects um, if this certain condition is not yet fulfilled? And what is the effect if this certain condition is already fulfilled? So, where the condition is imposed upon the perfection of the contract itself, meaning to say, naamoy gisabutan nga condition, nga kung dili pa ni siya ma-fulfill, wala pa ni siya na-fulfill nga condition, dili pa considered perfected ang contract. And upon the fulfillment of this certain condition, diha pa mo mo happen ang perfection of the contract. So, where the condition is imposed upon the perfection of the contract itself, the failure of such condition would prevent the juridical relation itself from coming into existence. So, since if this condition is not fulfilled, then there is no perfection of the contract. And if there is no perfection of the contract, that means each of the would-be buyer and the would-be seller has no relationship at all sa each other. And since wala sila relationship with each other, then they also do not have any obligation to fulfill sa each other. No? So there is no reciprocal obligation. So for example, in sales with assumption of mortgage, the assumption of mortgage is a condition precedent to the seller's consent, and therefore without the approval of the mortgagee, the sale is not perfected. Now, where the condition is imposed on the passing of title of the thing to be conveyed, such as when the ownership is retained until the fulfillment of a positive condition, which is normally the full payment of the purchase price, the breach of the condition will simply prevent the duty to convey title from acquiring an obligatory force. So in this case, there is already a perfected contract, but there is yet no transfer of ownership because in this case, your condition was linked to the transfer of title. So that means prior to the fulfillment of this condition, and normally ang kanang condition is ang full payment of the price. So mao na ang condition nimo nga kailangan full payments muna before there should be a transfer of ownership. So if there is yet no full payment, that means the condition is not yet fulfilled, and so this will prevent the duty of the vendor to transfer the title. So, huwatan sa nga ma-fulfill ang condition. Where the condition is imposed on an obligation of a party which is not complied with, That means the other party may either refuse to proceed or waive said condition. Okay? So, note that the Supreme Court has distinguished between a condition imposed on the perfection of a contract and a condition imposed merely on the performance of an obligation. So while failure to comply with the first condition results in the failure of a contract, because if the condition again is imposed on the perfection itself, such that the non-fulfillment of the condition will prevent the perfection of the contract, then therefore the failure to comply with that condition results in the failure to perfect the contract. Whereas if the condition is simply imposed on the happening or the ful- I mean of the if the condition is imposed on is something that is an obligation of a certain party after the perfection of the contract, so this merely gives the other party an option whether to refuse to proceed because of the non-fulfillment of the obligation, or bahalag wala na fulfill ang obligation, the other party can also decide to waive such condition. So, if there is failure to comply with a condition imposed on the obligation, which is katong second kind of a condition ha, so that means there is already a perfected contract, pero na lang sila yung additional condition before you can validly demand the performance of the other person. So if there is failure to comply with that condition, the following rules shall govern. So the party may refuse to proceed with a contract, or he may waive performance of the condition. So if you will waive the performance of the condition, then you will then proceed despite non-fulfillment of the condition. If the other party has promised that the condition should happen or be performed, such first mentioned party may also treat the non-performance of the condition as a breach of warranty. Where the ownership in the thing has not passed, the buyer may treat the fulfillment by the seller of his obligation to deliver the same as described and as warranted expressly or by implication in the contract of sale as a condition of the obligation of the buyer to perform his promise to accept and pay for the thing. So, for example, if the condition is imposed relating to the transfer of ownership, the buyer may refuse to perform his obligation to pay for the thing if if the seller has failed to comply with the condition that he should deliver first the property prior to the payment of the buyer of the purchase price. Kaya reciprocal obligation man na sila, di ba? In the case of Power Commercial and Industrial Corporation versus the Court of Appeals, GR number 119745, June 20, 1997, the alleged failure of the seller to eject the lessees from the lot sold and to deliver actual and physical possession thereof was not considered a substantial breach of a condition for two reasons. First reason of the court is that such failure was not stipulated as a condition, whether resolutory condition or suspensive condition, so it was not stated in the contract itself. And second, its effects and consequences were not also specified in the contract. So the court explained that if the parties intended to impose on the seller the obligation to eject the tenants from the lot sold, it should have included in the contract a provision similar to that referred to in another case, this time Romero versus CA, where the ejectment of the occupants of the lot sold by the seller was the operative act which set into motion the period of the buyer's compliance with his own obligation, and that is to pay the balance of the purchase price. So what happened here in this case is that ingon si buyer nga dili daw siya mobayad sa purchase price because wala pa daw kuno gi-eject the seller ang mga actual occupants of the lot. So the buyer treated it as a condition before siya mobayad sa ng purchase price, no? Iya gi-treat as condition nga kinahanglan papahawaon sa ni seller ang mga actual occupants. Pero ingon si court nga ang pagpahawa ko no sa mga actual occupants cannot be considered as a condition nga kailangan i-fulfill first the seller before si seller maka-ask sa payment ni buyer. First, because it was not imposed as a condition in the contract and wala pod gi-describe daw kuno dito sa ilang contract unsay effects and consequences if in case the seller is not successful in ejecting the actual occupants of the lot. And since the court said that it is not considered as a condition, therefore the buyer has no right to refuse payment. Dili siya pwede mo nga di sa siya mo bayad. So in other words, kinahanglan siya mo bayad. Okay? So again, in this case, the Supreme Court treated it not as a condition. Okay? In another case, we have here Ang versus the Court of Appeals, um, 567 Scra 53, year 2008. Rescission, in this case, rescission was sought on the ground that the sellers had failed to fulfill their obligation to remove and clear the lots sold, the performance of which would have given rise to the payment of the consideration by the buyer. In this case, the Supreme Court said that rescission was not allowed because the breach was not substantial and fundamental to the fulfillment by the seller of the obligation to sell. So somehow the same with the previous case wherein um, the the act of removing and clearing the lot was not indicated as a condition in their contract. And that is why the buyer cannot refuse payments. Okay, so kinahanglan mo bayad ra gihapon siya that despite the fact that the sellers were not able to remove and clear the lot sold. Okay? Now, let's proceed to warranties. So, what is a warranty? No? A warranty is a statement or representation made by the seller of goods contemporaneously and as part of the contract of sale, having reference to the character, quality, or title of the goods, and by which he promises or undertakes to ensure that certain facts are or shall be as he then represents them. So, uh, take note that the warranty is made by the seller. Okay, ganiha sa condition, it can be imposed either by either parties. But in this case, when it comes to warranty, it will be made by the seller. It shall be made by the seller. And for something to become a warranty, especially if it's an express kind of a warranty, it must be made contemporaneously and as part of the contract of sale. So, warranties can be express or implied, ha? So, when we say express, that means nisulti jud siya nga, naagid siya ing ani nga warranty. Okay, so an express warranty is any affirmation of fact or any promise by the seller relating to the thing sold, no? If the natural tendency of such affirmation or promise is to induce the buyer to purchase the same, and if the buyer purchases the thing relying thereon. Okay? So the requisites for a representation or any promise by the seller para ma-consider na to siya as an express warranty kung nagi-promise sa seller, the following requisites must be established. So the first requisite, okay, it must consist of an affirmation of facts or any promise by the seller relating to the thing sold. Second requisite, the natural tendency of such affirmation or promise is to induce the buyer to purchase the thing. So, kung nako nagisulti nga promise or affirmation si seller bahin sa iyang gibaligya, dapat ang natural kuno nga effects sa kana nga pagsulti is murag ma-convince gyud si buyer to purchase the thing because the promise seller ginana. And the third requisite is that the buyer purchases the thing relying upon such affirmation or promise. So nituo si buyer ug ni palit gyud siya sa thing nga gibaligya ni seller because of the affirmation or promise ni seller. So if those three requisites are established, then we can consider uh, that statement of the seller as an express warranty. Okay. How about a seller's opinion or affirmation regarding the value of the thing being sold? Can we consider that as an express warranty? No, kung na opinion si seller or affirmation relating to the value of the thing sold. So it says here, no affirmation of the value of the thing, nor any statement purporting to be a statement of the seller's opinion only, shall be construed as a warranty. So that is a general rule, right? So if tanaw ni mo, opinion ra ni siya ni seller. Kini, nara siya gisulti nga opinion relating to this thing that he wants to sell. That certain opinion by the seller cannot be construed as a warranty by the seller, no? Except if, so that's a general rule. Exception is that if the seller made such affirmation or statement as an expert. So if the seller is treated as an expert, then um, his opinion or statement relating to the value of the thing can be relied by the buyer and can be treated as a warranty. So, exception siya if expert. Like for example, no, isa ka seller na maligya o gold kunuhay nga necklace. Unya ingon siya nga, daghan ka siya gay pangsulti about this um, unsa na siya nga carat of gold, and then ang current daw nga market value ani is 50,000, but I'm selling this to you for only 10,000 and all. So nituo kaniya no nga mahalon jud kay ni siya nga gold necklace. But it turned out nga dili siya inana ka mahal di ay sa market, no? Instead of 50 nga iyang gisulti niya, 10 iyang gibaligya nimo, di ba? So ang actual value gid niya sa market, fair market value niya is, let's say, only 5,000. So dili nimo pwede ah, balikan, no? Dili nimo balikan si seller nga moingon ka nga, uy giilad man ko nimo, nituo ba gyud ko sa imong gisulti, because that is only a seller's opinion. But if that certain person who sold the gold necklace is known to be an expert nga kabaw gyud siya, no, kanang sa quality sa mga alahas, no, and then because you knew him as an expert, you relied on his statement, then that's the time that his statement can be treated as a warranty, and he has to make good of his warranty. So naka-remedy against the seller who is an expert. Now, the prescriptive period for instituting actions based on a breach of express warranty is that specified in the contract. So, since it is an express warranty, gisabutan na ninyo, no? So, uh, kung unsa inyong sabot nga period within which the aggrieved party can institute an action on the breach of express warranty, then we will follow that agreement. However, if wala may agreement as to the prescriptive period, the general rule on rescission of contract shall be applied, and that is 4 years. Okay? So, 4 years. Kung silent ang inyong contract, kung hangtod ka no ang pag allowed ka mag-institute of action based on breach of of the express warranty made by the seller. Okay? Next one is an implied warranty. So, implied warranty is opposite siya sa express, 'di ba? Kaya ang sa express, gisabutan mo gyud ninyo, gisulti man gyud ni seller. On the other hand, implied warranty is that which the law derives by application or inference from the nature of the transaction or the relative situation or circumstances of the parties irrespective of any intention of the seller to create it. So bahalag dili unta ganahan si seller nga mohatag iyang ani nga klase nga warranty, but ingon man sila nga naa jud tay inani nga warranty, naa jud kay inani nga warranty because of this nature of your transaction, then it is treated as an implied warranty. Okay, so what are the implied warranties? Okay, under Article 1547, 1547 of the Civil Code. So the warranties impliedly made by the seller in entering into the contract of sale are three kabuok. Okay. First, namely, his right to sell the thing at the time when the ownership is to pass. So he warrants that he has the right to sell the thing at the time when the ownership is to pass. So take note ha, he need not be the owner at the time of the profession of the contract, but he must be the owner at the time of delivery because this delivery transfers ownership, right? So he must now be the owner of that thing when the ownership is to pass. So that is his first implied warranty. And we call that warranty of ownership. What is the second implied warranty? He warrants, no, the seller warrants the peaceful enjoyment by the buyer from the time of the legal and peaceful possession of the thing. So he promises or he impliedly warrants nga, way magsinamok nimo din ha. You can peacefully possess and enjoy the thing that I sold to you. Walay mukuhaan na nga lain, kay imuha na siya and you can enjoy it na. So that is warranty against eviction. And the third implied warranty is that the seller warrants freedom of the thing from any hidden faults or defects or any charge or encumbrance not declared or known to the buyer. So we call it the warranty against hidden defects. Like for example, if you buy a cell phone, right? So if you buy a cell phone sa mall, for example, balag dili mo sulti si seller nga ang kani siya nga nga cellphone nga ako ang gibaligya nimo kay wala gyud na siya mga daot, no? Wala na siya mga mga guba, okay? Bisan pag dili siya mosulti ana, there is already an implied warranty provided by the law. Again, Article 1547 of the Civil Code. It is an implied warranty of the seller that the thing sold is free from any hidden faults or defects. Okay? However, Article 1547 also provides an exemption from liability for implied warranty. Okay? So, Article 1547 shall not, however, be held to render liable a sheriff, auctioneer, mortgagee, pledgee, or other person professing to sell by virtue of authority in fact or law for the sale of a thing in which a third person has a legal or equitable interest. Like, for example, no, in a case of a public auction, let's say levy on execution, di ba? So, gi-sheriff, no, gi-sheriff ang property, niyang katong gikuha ni sheriff, iya man ang ibaligya through public auction. So in this case, the seller is not the owner, but the seller here is the sheriff. So since he is only a sheriff, no, acting by virtue of an authority provided by the law, he is exempted from these implied warranties because again he is not the owner diba, of the thing that he is selling. It's just that he was authorized by law to sell these things that were levied on execution. So, a sheriff is exempted from those implied warranties under Article 1547. Okay, so let's discuss first warranty against eviction. Okay, so a breach of the warranty against eviction requires the concurrence of the following circumstances. So, when can we say that there is a breach of this warranty, no warranty against eviction? So the first requisite is that the purchaser has been deprived of the whole or part of the thing sold. Second requisite, this eviction is by a final judgment. Third requisite, the basis thereof is by virtue of a right which is prior to the sale made by the vendor. So existing na siya daan kaninga right of the other person. Exist na siya before the sale was made by vendor to the buyer. And the last one, the last requisite is that the vendor has been summoned and made co-defendant in the suit for eviction at the instance of the vendee. So, in the absence of the foregoing requisites, those four requisites that I just mentioned, a breach of the warranty against eviction under Article 1547 cannot be declared. Okay? Okay, like for example, no, na ako gibaligya nimo nga cellphone. Okay, I'm the seller and you are the buyer. So nahatag na nako di mo ang cellphone o niya nakabayad na sad ka nako sa price. Then all of a sudden na ini-message nimo sa messenger ni siya nga naikibaligya si ani mo nga cellphone. Ako magud to. Iyaram tong gikuha nako pero ako jud to. So can you now, if you're the buyer, can you now consider that there is a breach of warranty against eviction because another person is claiming that he is the owner of the cell phone. So always go back to the four requisites. So in this case, in that example, there is yet no breach of warranty because there is no final judgment yet. In fact, that other person who is claiming to be the owner of the cell phone did not institute a case. So kailangan mo institute sa case, no? And then kailangan si vendor iyang i-appeal as co-defendant. O niya, dapat makadaog sa siya dito. And then the decision of the court must be final and executory. And that's the time that you can consider na naay breach of warranty against eviction. Okay. So, so what then is the rights or liability of a party in case of eviction? So in case of total eviction, the vendee shall have the right to demand from the vendor the following. So the return of the value which the thing sold had at the time of the eviction, be it greater or less than the price of the sale. So pangayuon niya from the vendor ang return sa value of the thing na nga gikuha sa lain. Then the income or fruits if he has been ordered to deliver them to the party who won the suit against him. What else? The costs of the suit, which caused the eviction, and in a proper case, those of the suit brought against the vendor for the warranty. What else? Expenses of the contract if the vendee has paid them. Like for example, katong pag-notarize sa inyong contract of sale. Or if it involves real properties, then nibayad mo capital gains tax, nibayad na mo doc stamp taxes, and then si vendee or si buyer ang nibayad. So kinahanglan i-refund po na ni vendor. The damages and interests and ornamental expenses if the sale was made in bad faith. That is for total eviction. If there is eviction, but the eviction is partial, okay, when the vendee loses by reason of the eviction a part of the thing sold of such importance in relation to the whole that he would not have bought it without said part, or when two or more things have been jointly sold for a lump sum, or for a separate price for each of them, if it should clearly appear that the vendee would not have purchased one without the other, then the vendee has the following rights: enforce the vendor's liability for eviction, or the vendee can also demand the rescission of the contract, but with the obligation to return the thing without other encumbrances than those which it had when he acquired it. Okay, so now, um, talking about the prescriptive periods. Kasi sa ganiha, for implied warranties, di ba, if silent, it's 4 years. So as for actions based on the breach of implied warranty, the prescriptive period is under Article 1571 with respect to warranty against hidden defects or encumbrances upon the things sold, as well as Article 1548 relating to warranty against eviction, is only 6 months from the date of the delivery of the thing sold. 6 months only. Hmm. Next, let's discuss the next warranty, the warranty against hidden defects. So the defect, in this case, the defect must have the following characteristics. So from the term itself, hidden defects. So therefore, the defect must be hidden. No, it must be hidden. Hence, the vendor shall not be. So if patent siya, if dili siya hidden, like klaro jud kay siya no unsa ni pagkapalit nimo klaro jud kay siya on its face nga naa jud siya guba. So it's not hidden. Okay? If dili siya hidden, klaro naman kay makit-an man nimo, and then bisan pag nakit-an nimo nga nay guba ni padayon man ka. So walay liability si vendor in that case kung dili siya hidden. So it must be hidden, ha? Hence the vendor shall not be answerable for patent defects or those which may be visible or those which are not visible if the vendee is an expert who by reason of his trade or profession should have known them. Okay? And such defects have rendered the thing unfit for the use for which it is intended. So, dili na nimo siya magamit based sa imuhang intention unta sa paggamit ani nga thing because of that hidden defect. Or the defects have diminished its fitness for such use to such an extent that had the vendee been aware thereof, he would not have acquired it or would have given a lower price for it. Okay. So, unsa man yung mga how do we apply the warranty against hidden defects? So, in the case of sale of goods, there is an implied warranty or condition as to the quality or fitness of the goods as follows: where the buyer expressly or by implication makes known to the seller the particular purpose for which the goods are acquired. So, gisulti, pagpalit pa nimo daan, imo giinan si seller nga, kani siya ha, gipalitin ako para gamiton ako sa inani nga purpose. So, if iyang gisulti daan ni seller ang particular purpose for which the goods are acquired, and then it appears that the buyer relied on the seller's skill or judgment, whether he be a grower or manufacturer or not, there is an implied warranty that the goods shall be reasonably fit for such purpose. Like, nisulti si seller nga, yes ma'am, magamit ani mo for that purpose. Yan, ituo ka niya. So, there is an implied warranty against hidden defects. Where the goods are brought by description from a seller who deals in goods of that description, there is an implied warranty that the goods shall be of merchantable quality. Okay? In the case of a contract of sale by sample, if the seller is a dealer in goods of that kind, there is an implied warranty that the goods shall be free from any defect, rendering them unmerchantable, which would not be apparent on reasonable examination of the sample. Next one, an implied warranty or condition as to the quality or fitness for a particular purpose may be annexed by the usage of trade. All right. Now, the rule in case of sale of animals. If the subject of the sale is an animal, to be a ground for rescission, the defect must be hidden still, because again, this is warranty against hidden defects. So, although an expert intervenes, the defect may be of such nature that even expert knowledge are not enough to discover them. So, in which case, in the case of animals, so in which case the defect is deemed hidden and redhibition lies without any responsibility being demandable from the expert. If the veterinarian, through ignorance, does not discover it, or through bad faith does not manifest it, the veterinarian shall be liable to the vendee and not the vendor because the defect is not deemed hidden. Okay, masabtan mahibawan man taniya because he is a veterinarian, since it could have been discovered in opportune time. If the animal should die within 3 days after its purchase, the vendor shall be liable if the disease which caused the death existed at the time of the contracts. Okay. When is a contract of sale of animal considered as void? Okay. So here, now, when the animals are suffering from a contagious disease, we can consider the sale as void, or if the use or service to which the animals are acquired has been stated in the contract and they are found to be unfit therefore. Like for example, you bought a a horse, no, and then you mentioned that that horse will be used for your kalesa business, but then the horse is found to be unable to or unfit for such purpose, then we can consider the contract of sale of that animal as void. In the case of sale of two or more animals, whether for a lump sum or for a separate price, the following rules shall apply. So first, the redhibitory defect of one shall only give rise to its redhibition and not of the other. So kung kinsa lang ang affected, kung unsa lang ang affected nga animal, so the nullity of the contract of sale will only apply to those animals which are affected. Okay. But if it should not appear that the vendee would not have purchased the sound animal or the okay kanang healthy animals without the defective one, the entire contract may be rescinded. Take note, there is no warranty against hidden defects of animals that are being sold at fairs or at public auctions, or of livestock sold as condemned. So, what then is the remedy of the buyer in case there is a breach of warranty against hidden defects? So, the buyer has alternative remedies to choose from. So, the buyer may choose between withdrawing from the contract and demanding a proportionate reduction of the purchase price with damages in either case. So if the buyer elects to withdraw or rescind from the back out from the contract, he is also um he has also the right to ask damages. So rescission plus damages, or if he wants to continue, he can ask for a reduction of the price, or reduction of the price plus also damages. Okay. Let's not talk about the prescriptive period. So the remedy must be availed within 40 days from the date of the delivery of the animals to the vendee. Now, if the buyer elects to rescind or withdraw from the contract of sale, the animal shall be returned, no, in the condition in which it was sold and delivered, and the vendee being answerable for any injury due to his negligence and not arising from the redhibitory fault or defect. Okay, now in the sale of sorry. In the sale of immovable property, in case the immovable is encumbered with non-apparent burden or servitude, non-apparent, no. If the encumbrance is not mentioned in the agreement and of such a nature that it must be presumed that the vendee would not have acquired it had he been aware thereof, so the vendee has two options. First option here is to rescind the contract, no, ask for the rescission of the contract, or the second option is to demand payment of the appropriate indemnity, so plus damages. But take note, if the encumbrance is recorded in the registry of property such that, for example, if tan-aw nimo ang certificate of title, niya, makita nimo nga na encumbrance didto, bahalag wala jud ka kahibaw about it, pero naka-annotate na siya daan sa title, the vendee has no cause of action against the vendor unless there is an express warranty that the thing is free from all burden and encumbrances. So, bahalag wala kakabasa sa annotation as long as it is annotated in the certificate of title, then you are deemed to be constructively notified nga naa siya encumbrance. So, wala kay action against the vendor. But exception, if the vendor has made an express warranty nga na, niingon jud siya nimo no, verbally or in the contract, niingon jud siya, the property is free from encumbrance, then that's the time that you can ask the vendor. You can go against the vendor because this time, it is now a violation of his express warranty. So, for the prescriptive period, within a year from the execution of the deed of sale, then they may bring an action for the rescission or sue for damages. Okay. But if it's already after a year, no, after a year from the execution of the deed of sale, the vendee may only bring an action for damages within 1 year from the date on which he discovered the burden or servitude. Okay, so 1 year from the discovery. Okay. Now, what is the effects of vendor's knowledge of hidden defects? So whether he knows or he does not know. So if the vendor does not know or he is not aware about the hidden defects, the vendor is still liable. Okay? But he is not liable if there is a stipulation to said effect. Like for example, naagid sa inyong contract nga imong gi-waive liability ni vendor in case of hidden defects. If the is sold in consequence of if the thing is lost in consequence of the hidden faults, the vendor shall only return the price and interest thereon and reimburse the expenses of the contract which the vendee might have paid. If the thing is lost by a fortuitous event or through the fault of the vendee, the latter, meaning the vendee, may demand of the vendor the price which he paid minus the value which the thing had when it was lost. Now, if the vendor is aware about the hidden defects, if the thing is lost in consequence of the hidden faults, he shall bear the loss and shall be obliged to return the price and also refund the expenses of the contract plus damages pagyud. If the thing is lost by a fortuitous event or through the fault of the vendee, he shall pay damages to the vendee because the vendor acted in bad faith because in the first place, he knew there is some hidden defects sa thing nga iyahang baligya. So what are the remedies of the vendor in case of breach of warranty against hidden defects? No, vendee rather. Vendee. Remedies of the vendee. So the vendee may pursue either of the following. So we have actio redhibitoria. So this is an action for the recovery of the purchase price plus interest, no, from the purchase price, accompanied with a return of the thing sold. Okay. Or actio estimatoria or quanti minoris. This is an action for the recovery of a part of the price in proportion to the defects in the quality of the thing sold. So remember, diba, generally the vendee has two options, either to rescind the contract or to ask for a reduction, proportionate reduction of the price. So if he opts to elect the reduction lang of the price instead of the rescission or cancellation of the contract. So we call it actio estimatoria or quanti minoris. In this case, in an action based on breach of implied warranty, the prescriptive period is again 6 months from the date of the delivery of the thing sold. Okay, so that ends our discussion on warrant conditions and warranties.